Before we get started, I'd like to thank the patrons of this channel for their tremendous support over the years. It is greatly appreciated. Welcome back to the channel. We are making our way through the Seeker cards in the Feast for Hemlock Vale Investigator expansion. This is part 2 of our look at those cards, and we are going to take a look at the unidentified card in the set. That is the Ravenous Myconid, unidentified, 2-cost asset with an agility skill icon, creature, monster, flora, and science traits, limit 1 per deck. As an action, you can search your bonded cards for Uncanny Growth and add it to your hand. As an action, if Ravenous Myconid has 3 or more growth on it, move each growth to your resource pool as resources. Record in your campaign log that you have classified a new species. The Ravenous Myconid has 1 health and 1 sanity. You are unable to classify the Ravenous Myconid unless you use Uncanny Growth to do it. It is a 1-cost event. Insight and science traits. It is bonded to the Ravenous Myconid. You investigate. After this test resolves, place 1 resource on Ravenous Myconid as growth. For each point you succeed by, set Uncanny Growth aside, out of play. If you fail, return Uncanny Growth to your hand. So, as far as identifying unidentified assets, the Ravenous Myconid isn't particularly difficult to do. It's going to take you, I believe it's 4 actions. You've got to play the Myconid first, then you've got to use the action to go get Uncanny Growth, then you've got to take the Investigate on Uncanny Growth, which you just need to over-succeed by 3 on, which, if you're playing a Seeker, shouldn't be that hard. And then you have to take the action to move all the growth from the Ravenous Myconid to your pool, and ta-da, you have identified the Myconid, which is pretty straightforward. Any thoughts on the basic?
Oh, I already dislike this card, and it's not going to get any better because this is already a annoyingly reliable economy engine. Yes, it's not the fastest, but there's a very important word or a couple of words missing at the end of the second ability that is on most of these unidentified cards, which is discard. No, I mean, limit would also be nice, but I've acknowledged that this card doesn't have any limits. It has broken every concept of limits, but it's discard the Ravenous Myconid. This thing doesn't discard when you take the money out of it, and it gives you resources equal to the amount you over-succeeded by. If you're a Seeker, you're standing at a low shroud location, or somebody has tools to lower the shroud, like Breach the Door, Skeleton Key, and you just go search for Uncanny Growth, play Uncanny Growth for 1, succeed by 4, then I've identified new species, I've identified another new species, I've identified another new species. You're basically you're spending an action for 3 resources and spending an action for a clue alternating, which is already a messed up thing to be able to do, and that is the weakest version of these 3 cards we're about to talk about. Okay, I'm going to save my limit 1 per deck is not a good balancing factor for later in this video, so I'll I'll save that one for a little bit. Science is neat. Sorry, Monster and Flora is super cute to have on a player card. And the one other trait that I really want to point out here is Insight. There are a bunch of cards in the Seeker card pool that interact with Insight, and Uncanny Growth is an Insight. I had originally intended for my current Kate deck to be the translate all the things, identify all the things, and that is why I was hoping to combine the Uncanny Growth with the Cryptic Grimoire, which is the curse token translation from Innsmouth. One of the versions of that is you can get an Insight fast and reduce its cost by 1, so you can play this fast and for 1. That was one of the plans that I had to play. Then I actually played this card in a different campaign and decided, this is stupid, I don't want to put this in my deck because it's going to make the game less fun. We'll get to why in a minute, but yeah, it has some fun interactions with the fact that it's Insight rated. which is probably the biggest praise I can give this card. Sorry if I'm being a little hyperbole, like negative.
No, this is the moment. This is the moment you get to be really hyperbolic because it deserves
Yeah.
this. In fact, one thing, all you're telling me. All right, first I'm gonna admit. Speaking of hyperbole, when I first had these cards spoiled, they were all spoiled at once for me. I didn't even read. I realized it's the seeker. It's the seeker unidentified thing. Skip. I'm waiting for the next spoilers the next day. So gonna be honest, guys. I haven't even read the upgrades yet. This is going to be like you're going to be getting my first reactions to the upgrades, guys.
Okay,
Because
so
that's how red flag this stuff is to me.
okay, so not all of them are broken because I think you'll remember that Harvey has like the Forbidden Tomes or something. That one's not too bad.
I'm like this group of them. I was like,
Yeah.
and so
But-
what you're telling me is like you see this card, you're reading this card, and there are red flags. This is like a gate. All abandon all hope, all ye who enter here. And there's like red flags everywhere. There's no limit. You search bonded cards. You get resources. It's efficient. It's got insight. It's like, oh god, we've been warned. You know.
If this is all that the card did, this card would be okay. The fact that it soaks is almost slotless asset.
It's
not necessary. But
does
I have
it take up your it doesn't even take up your ally slot.
It takes up my slots.
It doesn't even take up your ally slot. What?
That is
so you don't even have to.
That is going to get a lot more relevant when we start looking at the upgrades. But before we start looking at the upgrades, I actually have a question for you. You know that before we did this video, we did like a couple other videos where we talked about those blue cards, right? Those. I think you remember some of them. They're like this small little faction that is usually not considered to be one of the more powerful in the game. I think they're called Guardians. What are some things that Guardians are usually good at? They're good at dealing with monsters, and they're good at soaking a lot, right? Well, what if we had one card that was better at dealing with monsters and better at soaking than anything that the Guardians could possibly do?
Wait. Hang on. In the same card?
Well, not in the same card, because that would be broken. So you have to pick between the one that just completely invalidates monsters and the one that completely invalidates damage and horror as a threat. And if that's not good enough, because you're like, hey, my friend likes playing Guardians, so let's give him something else to do. We also have this option that like literally allows you to cancel any treachery anybody ever draws. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that because you know what? If we want to keep my rage and reaction like raw and like like raw and spontaneous, we're gonna have to stop talking because we are well into red flag territory. I've got my blinders on because this is the only thing while we were describing this, right? Because I'm not familiar with this card at all. The only thing that I thought this didn't have going for it was the fact that, all right, let's say you if you've oh god damn it. Okay, you know what I was thinking, and I was wrong. I was thinking that let's say you play the Uncanny Growth, you succeed by 1, you get one token on your card, and you feel kind of bad because it's in your discard pile, and then you gotta go find it again. You freaking set it out of play, and you get to try again. Oh,
well, you have to spend the action to draw it again. So,
but Veronica, it's like I was thinking like you had to put everything in one shot, and then if you like got your -4 and you didn't quite get up to 3 tokens, like too bad, you got to try again next scenario, and it's like but you get to try.
No, you get to try again right away. But you know what?
Veronica, why is it like this? Why does it have to be like this?
Listen, spending actions to get your set-aside cards is so 2000 late. Let's just get to the upgrades because we don't want to spend actions on that. Actually, can I? Okay, I want you. No, you know what? Could you read out the next card and then I'll just name one card and I want to see your reaction once I've named that singular card. So go ahead and read out the next one. I hope we're doing these in the right order.
Typically, we don't rate the basic version of unidentified cards, simply because they usually don't do a whole lot on their own. It's like
this one also
they
doesn't.
Just basically you're identifying the card to set up, for the big play later. But I'm hearing a lot of curse vibes on even just the basic version, and we haven't even gotten to the upgrades yet. The first one is going to be the Ravenous Myconid Sentient Strain. 2-cost asset, costs 4 XP, intellect, skill icon, creature and science trait, researched, limit 1 protect, as a free triggered ability. So you actually had to spend an action to go get Uncanny Growth before. Now you don't. Now that's free. Search
And
your
you could
bonded
just
cards for
investigate
Uncanny
with it.
Growth and
Oh.
add it to your hand limit once per round. As a reaction, when an investigator draws a non-weakness treachery card, if their location's shroud is equal to or less than Ravenous Myconid's growth, cancel that treachery's effect and discard it. Remove all growth from Ravenous Myconid. It has 1 health and 1 sanity.
So I have one card for you. Just one card. Breach the Door.
Oh.
You set the shroud to 0, and you literally, anybody who's at that location just does not draw treachery cards anymore, because you do not actually have to discard any amount of growth. And that is, to be fair, that is the most messed up way to use this card. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do that in order for this card to be stupidly powerful, but you can. And the fact that nobody saw that in the same set where they give us a way to recur Breach the Door from any location that's attached to is making me wonder, how did this card make it to print? Because okay, I am genuinely a little upset about this card because the rest of the Seeker cards in this expansion are so good. The bar has been set by the rest of the expansion that they've seen, hey, we can actually give Seekers balanced cards that fit with the rest of the card pool that don't necessarily keep pushing this power level higher and higher, and actually make for interesting and fun games that aren't completely about Seeker as the best faction. And this card feels so at odds with the rest of the expansion, and it's such a shame because it's actually a really cool concept. This like new strain of creature that you're discovering, I really like that. But this card, even if all you're doing is canceling a single treachery per turn, that is an insane amount of value. A single Ward of Protection level 2 every turn. It's any investigator. It's not at your location. It's and of course obviously combo with Shroud level Shroud 0.
Shroud.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it interacts with any amount of Shroud manipulation effects. It's and yeah, as you said, you don't have to spend the action to draw this. You can just whatever investigate you were doing anyway.
Right.
Yeah,
that's yeah. You got me thinking because I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm thinking, all right, so just without even like trying, you just have this in, and it's like, okay, I free action get this thing, get the event into my hand, and then I play the event, and then there's no limit on the amount of growth that I could get. Okay, because so there's no limit on the amount of growth I can get. Okay, at least you can only you can only get the Uncanny Growth back once per round. At least there's that limit. I was about to say, if you could do the Uncanny Growth 3 times, that'd be nuts. But, okay, so you get the Uncanny Growth, so you spend a resource every turn to basically load this thing up, and then you use it to cancel somebody's treachery every round. Wow, I wish Mystics could do that.
Yeah, that seems like a really good thing for Mystics or Guardians, to be honest. Like, I wouldn't mind Guardians being a little bit better at treachery mitigation, but this is indeed like stepping on Mystic Stone. This is not just stepping on Mystic Stone. This is crushing Mystic Stones underfoot.
We have a saying around, the up here on the plateau of Lang. It's one that I invented, and that Manfromleng knows exactly what I'm going to say, and that is, Seekers ate another lunch. That's what's going on here. A lunch is being eaten, literally by the Ravenous Myconid. Yeah, but it's eating a lunch. Yeah.
Okay, but here's the thing: they didn't eat one lunch. Can we go on to the next card? I think we can. The thing is that we should probably, if we were doing this all like scientific and accurately and perfectly, we should probably give these a grade one at a time and like talk to them. The thing is, you already at home, you already know that all 3 of these are getting a curse by the end of this thing, because all 3 of them are like, they're not all this messed up, they're all messed up. And we should talk about the other 2 lunches. The other 2 lunches are both Guardian lunches, and Seeker has a long and beautiful history of eating Guardian's lunch. So let's see how they ate Guardian's lunch. If you would rule this the next one.
I just wish, I wish happened. I wish that this card was like, I wish this card played like what was the ally that Mystics got that was customizable and you could upgrade it, and you had this thing that you could send around and do stuff for you.
Summons? What was it called?
That thing. The thing.
The thing. Summon Servitor. That's the one. Summon Servitor.
That's it. I wish this was like Summon Servitor, where you make this little creature, right? And then you feed it, and then like Audrey the Second, it just like rawr, and it does some things for you. But it's like all scientific, and it acts like its own being, and you like send it around the table. That's what I wish they did. Man, those are the worst cards, and the ones that I'm already figuring out how to fix them just upon reading them. All right, carry on. Let's just get this over with.
Just
Yeah.
to clarify, like in solo, so basically you put this on the table. I go to a
Oh my God.
location. I grab Uncanny Growth for free. I juice an investigate test, which as a seeker is
You're gonna
relatively
do.
easy
Yeah.
to do. Oh, I get higher education, which is no longer on the list of taboos. So then I just juice the test. I dump, I don't know, how many growth do I need? 3, maybe 4. And then I go, okay, I go to the mythos phase. I draw a treachery. I say, nope. I cancel it and move on. And I can do that every round, essentially for free.
Yeah.
By taking one investigate action that I was going to do anyway.
You were gonna do it anyway, so all you're doing is actually spending a resource, and not getting to use your fingerprint kit or whatever whatever tool you had.
You
So
still
this makes like deck diversity even worse because you can't even combine. It makes you want to like throw out all your other investigate options and just focus everything on your what's it called, the event. The event from
Uncanny
up
growth.
above on my list. Yeah, the uncanny growth. So it's like it makes your deck like less interesting, and you just
No,
try
no,
to play
no,
the
no.
thing.
You just negate this aspect of the game with your first action, and then you still have 2 actions left. Don't worry, you still get to play. Listen, you're acting like this now. We still have 2 of these to go. You know that, right?
I don't know if I can take much more of this, Veronica. Save me.
The next one is the Ravenous Myconid Carnivorous strain. All the same text, basically. You get to search your bonded cards for free for Uncanny Growth. And then, as a free triggered ability,
Oh my God.
you choose a non-elite enemy at your location with equal or fewer remaining health than the amount of growth on Ravenous Myconid. Defeat that enemy. Remove all growth from Ravenous Myconid.
It's not even an action.
So I like to imagine Wilson and Kate meeting at a bar and them discussing enemy management, and Wilson's like, yeah, I have to play this gun, and then when the creature shows up, I have to make this skill test with my gun to shoot this thing, and my gun only does like a couple points of damage, so I might have to like actually shoot it once or twice to kill this thing. And Kate's just like, you have to make skill tests? You have to do it more than once? What are you talking about?
So you remember that scenario we were just describing in Solo, where you were walking around and completely negating every treachery you were talking? And a little part in the back of my head is like, well, Solo Seekers, I feel like the main thing that they're actually worried about is like enemies, because, treacheries, if they're testing willpower, we just talked about the mouse mask in the last video, they can, boost that. So, but, if you hit an enemy, then it's going to really slow you down. It's going to take you like an action to evade. You're going to have to get out of there before the end of the... Oh, no, never mind. You just, eat whatever shows up, and it doesn't even cost you an action, so that's great. It's pretty impressive that for the longest time I thought the most broken Seeker stepping on Guardian's toes, eating Guardian's lunch deck was the Minfinity Stones. I don't know if you remember this particular deck. There was also a deck that could do a lot of damage without having to take any tests, because it used the Ancient Stones from Forgotten Age, which is also a research card. Funny how this keeps happening. Which, when you drew cards, you could do that much damage by spending charges. This card makes that card look like a joke. This card is really just like, nah, we don't have to do that. And yes, it says non-elite, but you're saying, like, if that's your argument, then I'm just going to say I've got a plan and walk out of the room. Because, let's be honest, Seekers dealing with elite enemies in Solo isn't going to be a problem if they can just completely make every other enemy in the game disappear. Right? You just eat them. You just eat them. This has a combat icon instead of the other one. The other one had an intellect icon, in case that's relevant to you. I don't know if it is.
Why would you ever need the icon? You're playing
Maybe
it.
you want to commit this. You want to commit this to a test, so it doesn't actually accidentally end up in play and cause the Guardian to go.
Cause the game to explode.
Okay, and then
so what you're saying is when you're playing and you put this in and you realize what's happened, you can still commit it, so that way the Guardian doesn't reach across the table and strangle you and take your beer and throw it on your face.
My friends don't do that, but I am legitimately worried that if my friend made some cool Guardian deck, that they might not want to talk to me for a while after I put this card on the table. But this is actually not the angriest that I've gotten. The next card actually makes me angry. Okay,
Oh my
so the
God,
next
there's
card
more.
isn't necessarily better than this, but it makes me really upset for a slightly different reason that we'll get into. But if it's okay, we'll go to the next one, and then we'll talk about all three of these in a little bit more of a group idea.
Oh man,
Yeah,
how much worse
so
can it get, Veronica?
again, if I'm playing solo, and you are right, Veronica, I fear enemies much more when I'm playing a solo seeker than treacheries. With this on the table, I basically do the same thing as I was doing before. I just juice one test a turn, and then it's like, oh, I drew a conglomeration of spheres? Whatever. I drew a mindless dancer? Whatever. Dead. So that's pretty extreme. We'll do a little theoretical here. Say a treachery or enemy gets through your defenses. Then you have the Ravenous Myconid nurturing strain, flora and science, all the same text. Again, you can search for free for Uncanny Growth, and then as a free triggered ability, you can remove all growth from Ravenous Myconid, either heal that much damage and or horror from Ravenous Myconid, or move that much damage and or horror from investigators or ally assets at your location to Ravenous Myconid, and the Myconid has 3 health and 3 sanity.
I'm going to repeat that. The Myconid has 3 health and 3 sanity and costs 2 resources.
Oh
This is the best copy of what's the Guardian ally called? Brother Xavier or
yeah,
what's the level 01?
Yeah.
Petrol Mori that they've ever printed. This is Seeker having just eaten Guardian's lunch, giving the Guardians having seen FFG give Guardians a replacement lunch because Seekers were eating their lunch too much and taking that lunch as well. Okay, a little bit of a history with this card and why. So this is the card that I actually tried. The other 2 were so broken right from the gate that I was like, I'm not even going to try those. I'll try the nurturing strain. It seems the most benign. This one was also too broken to play. But here's why. Right around Dream Eaters, I legitimately felt like Guardians were basically arguably unplayable. If you wanted to deal with enemies, it was legitimately just better to pick Tony or pick a survivor like William Yorick. And because the only thing Guardians were actually good at was fighting with their big weapon, which was incredibly expensive, and they didn't have any econ at the time. And then they got vicious blows, and that was it. If you were all the Guardians were able to do was fight enemies, and there were just other factions. Tony was just better at it, right? Guardians to me legitimately felt like a splash color for other factions. They weren't actually playable themselves. And since then, FFG has made a real concentrated effort to make Team Support Guardian a core part of the class. They can heal other people with their soothing melodies from their Hollow Mirror. They can soak for other people and give them stat boost with Girish Kadakia. Guardians felt like in the last few cycles, hey, they're getting not just like the reason why I might pick a Guardian over Tony isn't because the Guardian is necessarily better at fighting. They're both really good at fighting, but because the Guardian is bringing things to the table that Tony just can't bring. I've had a situation that really always comes to mind is there's an potential for one of the Scarlet Key scenarios to start with an ambush with a whole bunch of enemies attacking you all at the same time. Not too many spoilers, but I was playing the butler, Carson, and just by soaking for the rest of my team, I turned that situation that would have been a bloodbath into an okay situation. We managed to get through that. And I felt, okay, hey, Guardian has finally gotten its identity together. They're not just the fighters. They are the people who support the team and who protect the team. And then they print this thing. It's literally just like, no, Guardians don't get to have a cool thing that they're better at than Seekers. Yeah. It is that bad. I played this with one. I don't even remember what the Guardian was, but I played Kate and a Guardian, and it was just like, yeah, no, the Guardian wants to try to soak for Kate, but Kate just puts all her damage and horror on this thing, and then it eats it, and then it eats the damage and horror that I put on the Guardian because she had leftover uses, and what else are you gonna do with it? It's an egregious design mistake. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm reading the ArkhamDB like reviews, and there are some people that are saying like, oh, limit 1 per deck is going to be enough of a restriction. In Seeker, I will have my deck looped by the time that the Guardian has found their first weapon. Oh. Like, this card, the only reason why these 3 cards aren't all super overpowered is that you only get to take one of the overpowered cards. because they're limit 1 per
No,
deck.
that's not. That makes it.
No,
That's
it's
actually
not.
worse.
It's
Because
actually
it makes
worse.
it more variance. You know, like
Yeah.
yeah, because
These
it's more binary. Oh,
Yeah, it is not like limit 1 per deck is not a good balancing factor
no,
because it just makes the
it
when
never
you
has
draw the
been.
cards. No, when
Yeah,
you draw the card, it is just completely broken, and when you don't
yeah.
draw the card, then apparently you're lagging behind. But even like
Mhm.
in Seeker, you're not going to struggle to find this. And if you're spending 5 XP on a copy of the search your deck for a card and put this into play, this card for 9 XP would still be incredibly broken. It would just
Oh
negate
my god.
damage and horror as a factor. It would negate non-elite enemies as a factor, or it would completely negate treacheries. These are
Yeah.
ridiculously easy to build around. Like somebody mentioned, like, oh, it's cool, it's an insight. You can use what's the tri class crafty to boost your stat boost on uncanny growth. Like, yeah, but you don't really need to because it's broken enough as it is already. Like, I don't know.
Like it's a hat on a hat.
Yeah, it's a cool. Like, don't get me wrong, person in Arkham DB comments. It's a cool idea. It's a shame that the card is like, yeah, cracked in half.
It's so broken
Yeah.
that you're willing to spend like 5 XP to support it.
Yeah, the thing that I genuinely don't get is how did this card, like, how did all these versions of these cards
Yep.
make it to print in the way they are? And it legitimately makes me like, I'm currently a playtester for a different card game. I don't want to talk about what it is because reasons, but I don't think playtesters are at all infallible, and I don't want to pretend like this is all the playtesters. But somebody, and actually, honestly, no, F that. It's not the playtesters' fault. It's the designers and developers' fault at FFG. This is something that you should have been able to look at the previous card that they printed in Seeker and go, hold on, this is following a pattern of cards that people have previously said are too powerful and need adjusting, and we are pushing those out of this to the side to print this. And it's like, I don't know what happened. Is it if this is a thing where like we want to make sure that our research cards are cool and attention grabbing, so we're willing to push them however far we need to push them to make them cool. But this is just a shame because there's only one place for me to put this card, which is Forbidden. I don't want to put these cards in my deck because I don't think it'll make the game interesting. It'll just negate fundamental balancing aspects of the game and just not be interesting to the game. And then I get like these really cool thematic idea, this new creature that we're identifying and we're feeding it with this uncanny growth, which is really cool and really neat. And it's just like, there's no one thing that I can change about these cards that makes them balanced. There are several ways in which these cards are just not okay, and it's just such a shame.
It amazes me when I was looking at them that you know, they back in the day, you know, one of the most egregious examples of Seekers eating people's lunches was, you know, acidic ichor. The Seeker can just drop a nuke on an enemy and basically kill better than the Guardian can. And then the designers looked at that card and they were like, you know how we could make this better is if we just remove the skill test.
They stopped dropping nukes on people. They started dropping black holes on people. Yeah, it's like they recently the best thing is like they recently tabooed acidic ichor to be -1 damage, right? So on some level they have recognized that like, hey, acidic ichor isn't really healthy for the game. But maybe they shouldn't just do something with the taboo list. Maybe they should also, you know, not print the Carnivorous strain. Like, it's not. It's such a weird thing because I don't understand why FFG continues to be Guardians are multiplayer only. Guardians don't get good tools to solo get investigations. Guardians basically have this like core part of the game that they are not good at and they are basically never going to be good at, and you really need to work around it in order to make Guardians work in solo or in 2-player flex teams. And then Seekers, on the flip side, should be the factions that are inverse. They are better at the core concept because monsters and enemies aren't as key to every scenario. Think of Miskatonic Museum, where there's only one enemy in the deck, you can evade it. Like, I don't mind Seekers having answers to enemies. I do mind when Seekers are good at dealing with enemies. Seekers are supposed to be bad at dealing with enemies and kind of bad at dealing with treacheries, honestly, which they've never been, but they should be. And they should be good at getting clues, getting progress, being fast. They're moving faster, so they also are eating rogues lunches, but we'll talk about that one another day. And it's just making the smart class, the class that can do literally everything, was a mistake that Wizards of the Coast made in 1995 when they made Blue in Magic. And in the year 2024, we can really stop
that's my
doing
girl.
that.
You got there. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I
funny
mean-
because you know what this means, Veronica. This is
Yeah.
perfect because what you've done, you have now ascended to like the Nate level of understanding by using Magic the Gathering, and blue, because that was Nate's thing, wasn't it? Wasn't it, Manfromleng, when
Yeah.
he would yeah. So welcome to the team, Veronica.
Has-
You've
has
done,
any
you've
of-
done it. You
So
joined
the
us here up on the plateau.
There are cards out there that they become curse tokens eventually because somebody finds a way to break them. There's some obscure combination of cards that, should you play them together, creates an infinite loop or something like that. And then there are cards that are just cursed right out of the box. And I think we can
Yeah.
all agree that I'm not even going to bother putting up curse tokens like for each of these. I'm just going to put a curse token like right at the beginning for the whole lot of them, and we'll just run it
Title
straight
card.
through.
Bam.
Because as soon as you look at these cards, they are cursed. My question is, and Veronica, you've already touched on this, but is there a way that they could fix these, or are they just unredeemable?
There are. Before I go any further, I have one more question about the blue in Magic, because has anyone ever pointed out that the orange faction in FFG games is always the best one? I don't know if
Yeah.
either of you played Magic, but
There is one.
NBA
There is
and
one exception. There is one
Is it?
exception, and that was Warhammer, if I remember correctly.
Alright.
Wait, sorry. Orange, right? Orange, Game of Thrones. Martell was
Yeah.
really good.
Martell was
Yeah.
really good. I think the
Yeah.
one argument you could make is that maybe Scorpion in L5R wasn't, but
Oh,
they're still
okay.
kind of red. Like the Phoenix was the more orange faction, but they were also pretty good.
There's definitely some
It's-
color. There's definitely
Yeah,
some like color.
someone at FFG really
focus,
likes the color
yeah.
origins and just like pushes it. It's a
Yeah.
fun thing from back in the day. I saw you raise your hand. You had some ideas about how to balance this card. I have some ideas too, but I want to hear yours first.
Put a hard limit on control variable. Not control. What is it? I gotta scroll up and find it again.
Uncanny growth.
Yeah, put a hard limit on Uncanny Growth's token generation. So that way you have to do multiple. You have to do multiple investigates to get this thing to trigger meaningfully. What if you limited it at like 2? You know.
So you can just testlessly remove a goal minion every turn if you need to.
I'm just saying that's what comes to me. Like if they because you were saying the answer is just forbid it, but I was saying like that's the one thing I can think of that you could actually do is just put a limit on the on how fast it gets growth. Yeah.
I think that is a good place to start. I think the second,
Yeah.
I mean, so the first thing is that you have to shut down the Sentient Terrain Shroud 0 combo. So you have to say there needs to be at least 1 growth on the effect in order to trigger it. You cannot trigger it with 0 growth. But that's just an oversight. To be fair, that's the kind of thing where I'm like, yeah, okay, that's the kind of combo you might miss. But also, again, there was a very notable Shroud 0 card in the last expansion, and there is a card that interacts with that card in this expansion, so I suspect those 2 cards should have been tested in this playtest cycle, and I don't really see how that one slipped through. I think that limiting Uncanny Growth, the amount of growth you can get with it, would be the way to go about it. But even then, I feel like getting to cancel treachery every other turn rather than every turn doesn't make me feel better about this card. And like the thing is that it's like Shroud equal to or less than the Myconid's growth. How often are you at a 2 Shroud location? Like that's not an uncommon thing to happen.
I understand. Yeah, maybe if it was 1 growth, maybe if you could only get 1 growth around.
Yeah, but then this card is just unplayable. Like that's the problem. Like it just becomes so miserable.
You know.
Yeah, we're gonna, but still, like the thing is that I believe fundamentally that the abilities that this card has don't make sense for a Seeker card to be able to do. Here's how I would fix this card. I'd make it a Guardian card. F it. It's a Guardian card now. You have to try to figure out a way to pass all those investigates by a whole bunch in Guardian, because Guardian doesn't get all the succeed ways to boost their intellect tests. Like, are you suddenly using what's it called, Kenai, the permanent from Dunwich that you have to spend 2 resources for a single +1 intellect? Because let me tell you, that suddenly starts feeling a lot fairer than higher education. And this thing being a super soak and a enemy deleter in the Guardian faction, suddenly I'm like a lot less troubled about it. Like, yeah, it's maybe a little above the curve, but being able to deal with small enemies without having to spend actions is kind of neat. So that's my arguments. Like, F it, put this card in Guardian. That now I'm okay with it.
Be a Mystic card even. Like kind of to be another take at the Summon Servitor. I kind of wish Summon Servitor was like this, where you like made a little monster and it did stuff. Yeah.
If it was a Mystic card, I'd be okay with it. But then every time you activated the ability, every time you do Uncanny Growth, if you auto-fail, it eats you. Then it's a Mystic card. Deal.
Yeah, then there's
Because
an actual downside.
that's
Or
the-
like
because-
you take a damage whenever you draw a symbol because it goes
Yeah,
it
eats
bites
you.
the hand that feeds
Yeah. The thing is that there is actually a card. I don't know if you've played Blood That Ate Everything. There's the oozling, the pet oozling that can eat enemies. That's literally what the Carnivorous strain does. But that one at least has the courtesy to go. If you exploit this ability too much, you die.
You die.
And the Mystics are like, we can token manipulate our way out of this, and it's like, okay, that's kind of neat. It's like a little broken. And then over here, the Seekers are like, that's fun, but we can do it without any of the manipulation.
No
It's like,
downside.
why?
No downside. Yeah, just ban it. Just ban this thing. Return to sender. Use them as proxies for like custom cards that you know. Use them as card backs and slip custom cards in there. That's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Ravenous Myconid is one of those cards that somehow slipped through the design and playtesting process and is busted.
Yeah.
I got one last question though. So I see the last one because remember these are my raw reactions. The last one says heal horror. Can Carolyn take the other two?
No, she cannot.
Okay, because I was wondering because I thought like the bondage they all count as one. Oh, they're different upgrades. Sorry. Yeah.
No,
Okay, she
sorry.
can't take the other two, but she could take this one. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, we did it, and it's more efficient than the stones version, you know, of horror healing, and it heals damage. And you know what? Also, I have to say, like, this might be my like because I'm looking at this with fresh eyes. I found something that's hilarious, and again, like, tells you something about how imprecise this was designed. So with Uncanny Growth, you don't get a choice. You put a resource on the Myconid based on how many you succeed by. So with the Nurturing Strain, I've noticed something here. You could actually overshoot because when you remove your growth from it, like that number, that X of number of growth you remove, let's say it's 7, is like set. So if you want to like pull in, you know, damage from everybody else, you have to pull in 7 damage.
Oh, yeah.
So you can actually overshoot.
Yeah, and kill this thing, which is actually great. But unfortunately, looking at the Nurturing Strain again has reminded me of a fact. You know what is I for some reason my brain shorted out around the time we talked about move that much damage horror from investigators, and I missed the part where it also just works on ally assets. So if you want to do all the guard dog, beat cop level 2 or field agent shenanigans that we have to use that super powerful book for, the Book of Solomon, no, you can just do it in Seeker as well. Don't worry. And it works for everybody at your location, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so, you know.
Oh my gosh. Oh my god, you're right, because you could just like heal beat cops and heal guard dogs, but also I was thinking Carolyn's own, Carolyn's own field agents, and there's sled dogs. Oh my god.
Curse tokens all around. Probably more curse tokens than I think we've given out in...
I've run out. We hit our limit of 10 curse tokens.
We have hit 10 curse tokens in the chaos bag. Time to end this video.
Well, that was something. It's not often that I mean we have had our issues with the Seeker cards in the past. That was one of the more egregious examples of the design philosophy when it comes to Seekers, that they can basically do, if one class can do it, Seekers can do it better. Whether it is canceling treacheries, killing enemies, or healing. With the Ravenous Myconid, you just pick the one you want, and away you go. And since Uncanny Growth can be grabbed as a free triggered ability, as long as you're investigating, which is probably what the Seeker is doing anyway, you just get to do stuff for free without tests. Yeah, that's pretty busted. Oof. And honestly, I don't know how they're... I'm sure they're going to try to fix it, but knowing how they approach the list of taboos, the first fix is probably not going to be enough. And I don't think tacking more XP on the Myconid is going to... I mean, that doesn't fix anything. It just costs more XP, which people will get.
It's exceptional.
It's still busted. So, yeah. Anyway, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think of the Myconid, and yeah, looking forward to talking about cards with a little more nuance than I just do the thing and I do it better than everybody else.